Which players on day 3 of the 2024 NFL Draft could GM Adam Peters of the Washington Commanders steal there in day 3? Now, there's definitely a bunch of sleepers on my list and on my board every single year, and there's some players I'm really excited about in this year's class that I think the Commanders can grab on day 3. That's rounds 4 through 7 of this year's NFL Draft. And let's be honest, guys, lots of guys in round 1 end up panning out, all these different things, but NFL drafts are won on day 3 and finding these hidden gems, these diamonds in the haystack, if you will. So without further ado, let's get into it. But before I do, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you're pumped as we are for the NFL Draft, man, I'm so excited. It just seems like draft season goes by in a blur every single year, but it's such a rewarding process for me, even though we put in so much work here at Chat Sports. So if you appreciate that work that we do, make sure you click that thumbs up icon and help us make this video the best it can be. So now let's start with prospect 105 on the Pro Football Focus big board, somebody that I'm a big fan of as a receiving threat at tight end, and that's Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State, the Wildcats. And I really like Sinnott's ability to move. All right, not only is he fast for the position, he ran a 4.88, I believe that's a 4.68, and he's got incredible stop-start ability and quickness for the position. All right, you can see all the green on there, a 9.73 relative athletic score, which really allows him to separate from guys like linebackers and safeties who aren't quite as good in man coverage. Really good route runner from the Wildcats here with a great physical profile. If there's somebody that's going to be a really good receiving threat in this class that's not named Jatavian Sanders or Brock Bowers, I think Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State is going to be that guy. And I think it could be relatively early because of the athletic profile he brings to the table. Then we'll go to Caelen Carson, cornerback out of Wake Forest, the 110th overall prospect on the Pro Football Focus big board. And when you watch Carson on film, he looks like a starting NFL cornerback. Now, the athletic profile might be a little bit limited, but it's nothing to be like super concerned about on his relative athletic score. A lot of it's in the yellow, not a whole lot in the green, but not a whole lot in the red either. He's a very average athlete, but man, he plays really well within both zone and man coverage. He's physical at the catch point. He's not going to be a number 1 shutdown corner in the league, but he is going to be somebody that's going to be a really solid number 2 corner for you from the word go, in my opinion, on the outside. And he's somebody I'm really excited about to see play right away. I have a round 3 grade on him, but I think he could go even late round 2. I think he's ready to go out of the box, and I think that if you get him on day 3, that is an absolute steal. Then we'll go to Hunter Nourzad, center/guard, interior offensive lineman out of Penn State, currently ranked 111th on the Pro Football Focus board. I'm a big fan of Nourzad, man. And if you know Zach Frazier out of Western Virginia, not the best play strength, not the best athleticism or anything, but he's super tough, super smart, and he plays with great mentality in the run game. Hunter Nourzad's the exact same way. He's not going to wow you with his athleticism or his play strength or anything like that, and that's going to limit his upside in the National Football League. But if you're looking for somebody like the Commanders are to potentially start day 1 at left guard, and you can get Nourzad in the 4th round, I think this is an absolute steal here. I think that he's going to be a really good player, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes in round 3 of this year's NFL Draft. Now, before we get to more sleepers here, what say you guys? Should Washington draft a guard on day 3 of the 2024 NFL Draft? Give me a yes or give me a no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time, but give me a yes or no down there in the comments. Then we'll go to PFF ranked prospect 118th. This is actually my number 1 ranked safety in this entire class, and it's Tykee Smith out of Georgia. This guy is awesome, man. Now, he didn't play much at free safety. Javon Bullard played free safety for the Bulldogs here this past year, and Smith only had 1 year of starting with the Bulldogs. He played mostly slot corner, and he played a little bit in the box, but man, this guy is instinctual. He can read the quarterback's eyes extremely well. He plays at a good weight, super physical in the box, and this guy is an absolute destroyer of screen routes from the slot. So if you want to play him in the slot, fantastic. He's going to be your slot destroyer, all right? So that's absolutely fantastic. Plays with really good tackling reliability, which is something that you really want from your DBs. I just love Tykee Smith's game. I think he's physical. I think he's got really good speed, so he can play free safety if you want him to do that. I think he's super versatile, and I think he plays with fantastic high-end instincts. I think it's a crime that Pro Football Focus has him that low on their big board right now. Now, coming up here, more draft sleepers to share with you guys here on the Commanders Report. But before I get into the rest of my list today, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app today and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. And Prize Picks has specials for new and returning users alike for the start of the MLB season when you head on over to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app. Football season's been over for a while, folks, but the action on the diamond is just heating up. Get in on the excitement with our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your baseball knowledge into serious cash. That is, if you know ball. The 2024 MLB season is now off and running, and you can pick more or less right now to make some money from the comfort of your couch while you watch your family favorite team play. Prize Picks is super simple. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can see my projection right here for today's MLB action. I got the less on Jamison Tyon's strikeouts. I got the more on hits, runs, hits on Cody Bellinger. And I'll take the less on the same thing on Dansby Swanson tonight. So right now you can go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the Prize Picks app today to get your picks in. And if you use our code CLNS, you'll get a first-time deposit match up to $100. That is a fantastic deal. So guys, you can pick more or you can pick less. It's that easy with our friends at Prize Picks. Then somebody at the edge position that I am a big believer in, I think is getting completely slept on by Pro Football Focus here, is Kamara out of Colorado State, who a common comp to him is Shaq Barrett. All right, and I'm wondering why somebody that's getting comped to Shaq Barrett is all the way down here at 135th on the Pro Football Focus big board. Super long arms, really physical at the point of attack. He's got some refinement that he needs to work on, granted, as a run blocker and as a pass rusher as well. But I really like the way Mohamed Kamara plays the game. He's a super intelligent player with those long arms and really good functional strength. So I'm really excited to see what Kamara can do in this league. And if he's there in round 4 or 5 for the Washington Commanders, you absolutely have to run that card up to the podium. Then we get to Jaheim Bell, tight end out of Florida State, who's currently ranked 155th on the Pro Football Focus big board. And I like this fit specifically for the Washington Commanders because Cliff Kingsbury's coming in here, and he likes to use his tight ends as receiving weapons over the middle. Jaheim Bell, not going to give you much in terms of being a blocker, but he's more of like a bigger wide receiver in the middle of your offense, all right? Very good speed at 4.61 for a tight end, man. Definitely undersized. He's not going to provide much for you in terms of blocking, so he needs to go to the right fit, but I can't think of a better fit for Jaheim Bell out of Florida State on day 3 than to join up with Zach Ertz and Cliff Kingsbury in this air raid style of offense here in Washington. I'm a big fan of Jaheim Bell's game as a receiver, and I think he'd be a great fit here in Washington. Then speaking of pass catchers here, Holy Cross wide receiver Jalen Coker. I've drafted him a couple in my Commanders mock drafts this draft season. Currently ranked 160th on the Pro Football Focus big board, and that is a big leap from not being listed at all on their previous big board. So obviously Coker is starting to turn some heads. He is starting to get some notoriety here, and it's very possible that Coker's going to be a 5th or maybe a 6th round pick. Could even get up into the 4th round because this guy is big. He's 6'3". He moves extremely well. He might not be the fastest receiver in the world, but for his size, he runs extremely well. I think that with the right coaching, he can absolutely develop into maybe not a number 1 receiver, but a damn good starting wide receiver in the National Football League. And if you're getting that on day 3, I think that's a really good steal. Then we go to Zak Zinter here. Would have been a round 2 pick if he didn't have that nasty leg fracture he suffered during the Ohio State game this past fall. And it's just a really sad thing to see because Zinter was arguably the best guard in this class, true guard. But because of that injury, he's not going to be able to play in 2024. But I really like his fit with the Commanders because they're trying to build for the future, right? They're not trying to build necessarily for right now, but they might need a guard in the future. And if you can get a guy like Zak Zinter in the 5th round, which is where he's expected to go right here at 163 on the Pro Football Focus big board, I mean, that's a fantastic value to get where you're not going to have him in 2024, but he's a really talented player that's going to be at your disposal starting in 2025, and that's a gamble I'm willing to bet on if I am the Washington Commanders. Then we get to Decamerion Richardson, one of my favorite corners in this entire draft class out of Mississippi State, currently ranked 166th. On the Pro Football Focus big board. And you look at his film, man, it is a lot, it's very black and white. It's either he's awesome, he looks like one of the best corners in this class, or he's getting absolutely toasted. Okay, very good short area quickness, elite long speed, good long arms, generally good instincts as well. And his high-end plays are legitimate, like elite reps. All right, but like sometimes he loses his eyes, he's route squeezes and all that great at times. The coverage can definitely be spotty. And, overall, he needs to be coached up big time. But he's got the physical profile that you look for, especially if he adds some poundage here. He's only 188 pounds. If he gets closer to 200 and he can keep that elite speed and he gets some good NFL coaching, he could be not only a good starter in this league, but he could be potentially a top 10 corner in football. That is how high this guy's ceiling is. Then we get to Beaux Limmer, interior offensive lineman for Arkansas. Somebody that I'm a really big fan of. He provides good play strength, good athleticism. Now, he's not going to be like an all-pro caliber guy or anything like that, but at 174th overall on the PFF big board, I mean, that's somebody that I would absolutely grab up. I like this guy better. I have a higher grade on Beaux Limmer than I had on Ricky Stromberg last year, and the Commanders took him in round 3. So I love Limmer's game. He can play center. He can play guard. He's versatile in that way on the interior. I think he has a very nice skill set both as a pass protector and as a run blocker. That's going to be attractive to a lot of teams in the National Football League. Don't be surprised if Beaux Limmer goes in round 3. Then we got Javon Foster, probably my favorite or one of my favorite offensive tackles that you could probably get on day 3. He's not going to blow you away or anything, but I think he plays with good technique. He's somebody that you can trust on an NFL football field right away, even though he doesn't have the best traits. He's going to lose against some of the more elite edge rushers in football. He's not going to be somebody that you give a big contract to be your franchise left tackle or any of that, but he can play on both sides. He's going to be a really good swing tackle option for somebody probably in round 5 or round 6. Right now, Pro Football Focus ranks him 179. Then we got Elijah Jones, number 1 graded man coverage corner in college football in this class this year. And he's currently ranked 225th by Pro Football Focus. That is an absolute crime. Now, I understand he's undersized, but he's got good long arms. He plays with good instincts in man coverage. And I really like his game. I do. When you watch him on film, he's a lot better than any of these day 3 corners that you're going to be looking at here, or at least a lot of them. And I really like Elijah Jones out of Boston College. I think he should probably be like a top of round 4, late day, or round 3 kind of guy. But according to Pro Football Focus, he's somebody you can get in the later rounds, round 6, round 7, and that is an absolute steal in my mind. Then we'll go to Tanner McLaughlin, 232nd ranked player. I currently have him ranked as my 4th tight end in this class. All right, and the only guys I have higher are Ben Sinnott, Jatavian Sanders, and Brock Bowers. I think McLaughlin is a really good receiving threat, and I think like Jaheim Bell, he's got a really good ability to be a receiver in the league. Now, I think McLaughlin gives you a little bit more as a blocker, which is why I have a slightly higher grade on him than Bell. But I think McLaughlin out of Arizona is definitely being slept on right now, and I'd love for him to be a Washington Commander. Then we get to MJ Devonshire here, 248th overall. Now, Devonshire is kind of like Richardson, where, let's face it, he has some losses on his film, plain and simply. Okay, but what does Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. look in their corners? What do they look for? Aggressiveness and the ability to turn the ball over. That's what MJ Devonshire does, and this is somebody that you can pick up in the 6th, 7th round of this year's draft most likely because he does have those losses on film. If you're looking for a good backup corner, I think MJ Devonshire is a perfect fit for the Washington Commanders, and I think that this is actually something that could get done. Then we'll go to Garrett Greenfield here, my final sleeper of today's list. I've taken him a number of times in my Commanders mock drafts this spring. He's not even ranked by the Pro Football Focus team. And listen, man, like he needs to work on his functional strength a little bit. All right, but he's a super explosive athlete. He absolutely killed the combine. He was awesome on film. He really handled his business at the Shrine Bowl this year, which I was at, and he was really handling his business against some of the best edge rushers in the country. I'm a big fan of Garrett Greenfield. I think he can be a really good swing tackle for you right away, and he's got the upside to even be a starter. So if you can get a guy like that in round 7 at this position especially, that is a sleeper if I've ever heard of one, and I am a big fan of Garrett Greenfield out of South Dakota State. So now shout your guy out down there in the comments section. Name a sleeper that you want the Washington Commanders to draft this year. It can be somebody on my list. It could be somebody not on my list. I don't care. I want to hear from you guys. What is the sleeper prospect that you want the Washington Commanders to target during this year's NFL Draft? And that'll be it for today's show, guys. I appreciate all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, hail to the Commanders.